Hi everyone, we're going to be doing a little framework refresher as well as starting points for the November-December 2025 debate topic. So first, what is framework? So framework is what you focus the debate around. It's also what sets LD apart and is the most important thing in the entire round. So framework has two essential parts. The first is your value. This is what you are trying to achieve. It is generally a goal. It's the overarching idea of your case, and it is very, very broad. When you're building your case, you should always choose your value first because this is what ends up deciding your contentions. A few examples of values are morality, justice, equality, very broad ideas like that. The second part of your framework is called the value criterion, or also known as your standard. This is how you achieve your value. So this is what narrows your value down because like I said, your value is very, very broad, and this is how you're going to define your value. This means that your value criterion is usually a verb. So for example, if your value is morality, then your value criterion can be utilitarianism, which is also known as maximizing the greatest good for the greatest amount of people or maximizing expected well-being. Another example is if your value is justice, then your value criterion could be preserving democracy. So again, it's basically just saying that whatever your value is, your value criterion is how you're going to get it, right? So if your value is justice, like the example is, then what you're saying is whatever is just is whatever preserves democracy, or whatever preserves democracy is whatever is just. So whatever does your value criterion the most is the one thing that should win this round. So the November-December 2025 topic is resolve the United States ought to rewild substantial tracts of land. So for a quick topic analysis, what does that mean? So rewild means returning land to a natural state, letting plants and animals grow and live there without human interference. Substantial tracts of land is large areas of land. Essentially what this resolution is saying is that the U.S. should let big areas of land become natural again so ecosystems, forests, and wildlife can thrive. So again, the U.S. should just basically let nature take over large areas of land. So, possible frameworks for the affirmative. The first is a value of environmental ethics and a value criterion of preserving biodiversity. The second value is morality with the value criterion of utilitarianism, but this one is pretty common. The third value is animal welfare with the value criterion of respecting natural habitats. So to go into what each of those means for the resolution, the first is essentially rewilding restores ecosystems and protects endangered species, honoring a moral obligation to nature. So that's the moral obligation is the ethics. The second one is rewilding provides ecosystem services, so clean air, water, and flood prevention, as well as long-term benefits for both humans and wildlife. And animal welfare is animals have intrinsic rights to live in thriving ecosystems. Rewilding restores these habitats and reduces human harm. So for some possible frameworks for the negative, first we have morality with the value criterion of pragmatism, and we're just going to go into what each of them means as we go. So this means that this prioritizes human needs, housing, agriculture, energy over rewilding, arguing policy should be feasible and beneficial for people, because that's essentially what is practical, right? The second one is morality with the value criterion of human flourishing, and that means large-scale rewilding could limit land for agriculture, industry, and infrastructure, negatively affecting livelihoods and national productivity. And the third is social equity with the value criterion of resisting structural oppression. So rewilding might displace communities or restrict land access, disproportionately harming marginalized populations. Okay, and so we have a few framework drills. This is because I did this live, but feel free to do these drills by yourself. The first one is a value brainstorm. So this is how you do it. You write down as many values as you can think of. For each value, you write 1 to 2 sentences explaining what it means in a debate context. And usually I try to make this like a little competition. So try to write down the most values out of the group that you're doing it with. And then the second drill is a framework pitch. So you will be given a random value or value criterion. You can ask chat for this or a random generator. And then you have 45 seconds to explain why this framework matters and how it would structure your round. Thank you all for listening. I hope that helped a little with the topic, as well as like a little refresher on framework.